Hello, fellow traveler. Did you lose the trail? Come, have a seat by the fire. This is no night to be wandering these woods alone. You see, this is a special night, one rarely seen. Let me tell you a story to make the hours pass, one not many know of and even fewer believe to be real. What do you see in this piece of stone? Yes, it is small, not much to look at, and to most, not of any particular use. Yet it is not of irrelevance to the story that I am about to share with you. You see, every 100 years or so, a strange event occurs. As the days grow short and the nights long, a night darker than others ensues. It is said that when the moon leaves the sky, as darkness envelops the land and the stars awaken, you can hear the sounds of being rarely seen. And if one lingers in the dark shadows waiting for sight to return, things that any other night would seem to be one thing appear to be another. It was during a night like this that a small, in the scope of the world, insignificant creature with no name was born.
What is this place?
The insignificant creature without a name wondered as it emerged from the ground and began to explore the dark world. The small creature carefully picked up the bowl along with the dried flowers. As the small creature explored its surroundings, tiny drops of rain began to fall from the dark sky. As the small creature walked across the field, stalks began to sprout from the wet soil. The rain had caused a couple of the seeds sown by the farmer to grow rapidly, an occurrence you would only be able to see during a night like this one.
I wonder if I grew that fast when I was born,
The small creature pondered. The small creature managed to pick up a handful of oats off the stalks. One of the crates looked to have been broken long ago, now containing only a few forgotten objects.
Maybe I could find something of use in it.
The small creature thought, its eyes glistening with anticipation. There was an old kettle covered in dirt laying on the ground.
This looks useful,
The small creature said to itself.
I wonder if I could take it.
The small creature tried to brush some of the dirt off as it picked up the old kettle. In the remains of the old crate, the small creature found a ball of yarn. A sewing needle had been stuck into an old rug, slightly reflecting the light coming from the ceiling.
I should be careful not to touch the pointy end.
The small creature stated. The small creature picked up the sewing needle with care, making sure not to hurt itself. In the far corner of the dark room sat an old hustumpt, stroking his long grey beard. These household deities guard the farmers' homes, keeping any unpleasant beings at bay while watching over the daily chores involved in running the household. As the creature approached the corner of the room, a grumpy voice emanated from the darkness.
Who are you to enter my home uninvited? If you came to steal, know that a meager creature like you would be no match for me.
In the dark corner sat an old hustumpt, staring at the creature.
Please forgive me.
The small creature responded anxiously.
I didn't mean to disturb you. I was simply curious about this place. I'm lost, you see.
The hustumpt looked at the creature for quite a while before breaking the silence.
Well, you certainly don't look capable enough to be the thieving kind,
he muttered to himself.
But if I find that you conspired with him to steal my hat, you will be sorry you revealed yourself to me.
The hustumpt became quiet for a while, seemingly calming down.
Although perhaps I could be persuaded to part with a couple of my belongings in return for something to calm my hunger. After all, most of these items have been gathering dust down here for as long as I can remember. But don't bring me anything fancy. I don't like brown nosing. Anything that will take care of my growling stomach will do.
There was a small spring in the clearing reflecting the night sky. In the middle of the spring you could see the reflection of a large star. Something about this star seemed different from the others around it.
What a beautiful place!
The small, insignificant creature thought to itself, admiring the reflected glow of the stars. The small creature filled the kettle to the brim with cold water. On the ground there was an old grinding stone, partially buried in the dirt. It looked to have been left there a long time ago.
I wonder why someone would leave this here, although it does look a bit heavy.
The small creature thought to itself. The small creature barely managed to pick up the heavy grinding stone. No, that's not how it happened. A large stone could often be found at the center of Alv circles. How they got there, no one seemed to know. In some of the stones there were holes, said to be surrounded by strange symbols. These holes could be used to summon and gain boons from Alvar by presenting them with a gift. On the other hand, if the offering was not to their liking, the boon would instead turn into misfortune.
Is there really someone strong enough to move a stone like this?
The creature looked at the large stone, its eyes filled with fear and admiration alike. Reaching into the hole, the small creature felt something flat, round and hard. As it removed the object from the hole, it saw that it was an old coin. In the circle laid a pile of bones. The creature searched the ground for anything useful. Amongst the shattered bones, one piece seemed to be sharper than the others.
Do I look like this on the inside?
The small creature wondered, looking hard at the bones, trying to make out their original positions. There was an old piece of cloth lying on the ground, seemingly being used as a doormat.
It looks like someone has been wiping their feet on it.
The small creature stated.
Hey!
An angry voice emanated from the shed as the creature was about to pick up the piece of cloth laying on the ground.
I found that. If you want it, you'll just have to bring me something else that I can use.
Hello?
the small creature said politely.
Who are you?
The guard stomped looked at the creature.
I'm the one who looks after this place. No simple task, mind you. The master of the farm hasn't been tending to the land enough this season, so I have to make up for his stupidity by working myself to the bone.
The guard stomped muttered in a stern yet slightly proud voice.
You're a small one, aren't you? I haven't seen something like you before. Where did you come from?
The small creature looked at the guard stomped.
I'm not sure. I remember waking up beneath a stone mound, and as I crawled out, the first thing I saw was the stars. Do you know why I'm here?
The small creature asked hopefully.
I see. Beneath the old stone mound.
The guard stomped appeared to remember something, becoming quiet for a moment before continuing.
No, I'm afraid I don't know why you were born into this place, little one. Nor do I think there is truly a place for you here at the farm. You should look for a place of your own elsewhere.
The small creature hung its head for a moment after hearing the guard stomp's response.
Don't fret, little one. You'll find your place in this world, I'm sure of it. This farm has simply never been that place.
The top part of the shaft had been broken and was barely attached to the rest of the tool, now unusable for working the fields.
I think I could break it off.
The small creature said.
The tool doesn't look to be of much use to the farmer anymore.
As the small creature touched it, the top part of the shaft easily came off. As the small creature moved closer to the fireplace, it could feel a faint warmth emanating from the coals.
What a nice feeling.
The creature thought to itself as it curled up beside the fireplace, trying to warm its small body next to the coals. The small creature hung the water-filled kettle above the fireplace. The small creature carefully removed the hot kettle from the fireplace. In the middle of the field there stood a rugged scarecrow, seemingly looking up into the starlit sky.
Hello?
The small creature uttered nervously, but the scarecrow remained silent. No, that's not how it happened. As the small creature used the sharp piece of bone to cut the stitches that held the cloth in place, the scarecrow sprung to life, quietly watching its visitor. Once the piece of cloth had been removed, the hay contained inside the scarecrow's head began to fall out. Touching the scarecrow, the creature could feel the dry hay prickling it through the burlap.
Be enough to replace the cloth?
The small creature asked as it presented the hay to the guard stomp.
Hey, well, I suppose I could use that instead. I only found this piece of cloth the other night while keeping an eye on the field, but it's already becoming too dirty to wipe my feet on.
The guard stomp responded as he handed the dirty piece of cloth to the small creature.
Maybe you can find some other use for it.
My hat. He had it, didn't he? That wretched thief.
The hush-stump put the hat on his head and made a sigh of relief.
There. That's how things should be.
The hush-stump looked at the small creature.
I suppose you want something for this, even though you've already taken my things.
The hush-stump said grumpily as the small creature's eyes seemed to grow a little bigger.
Here, I found this hammerhead while I was looking for my hat. It's missing its shaft, so I don't know what use you would have for it. But the difficulty of a task should determine the reward, don't you agree? You sure didn't hurry now, did you?
The hush-stump muttered.
Were you planning on letting me wait all night after I let you take my belongings?
The small creature looked meekly at the floor.
Well, no matter, this will stave off the hunger.
The hush-stump brought a spoon out from under his thick beard and began to eat.
Since you've already helped yourself to some of my objects, I hardly think a reward should be necessary.
The small creature hung its head as the hush-stump put another spoonful into his mouth.
Fine. Here, I borrowed this from the wretched one. I have no use for it, so you might as well take it. Now go away.
As the hush-stump filled the spoon once more, a long strand of thick silver hair came off and landed on the ground in front of the small creature, who saw no harm in picking it up.
Is that what I think it is?
The guard stomp exclaimed as the small creature approached him.
Is that my whetstone? Where did you find it? I don't even remember the last time I saw it.
The guard stomp let out a sigh of relief.
Thank you for finding it for me, little one. My old worn-down tools have been the only thing standing in the way of me bringing this farm back on its feet.
The guard stomp rummaged around inside the shed.
I'm afraid I can't find much of a reward for you. This old hammer shaft is of good quality, but I seem to have misplaced the metal head. I can't understand how I managed to lose these things.
The guard stomp scratched his forehead as he handed the hammer shaft to the small creature.
Perhaps you can find a use for it, little one. I'm sorry I can't offer you a better reward.
No, that's not how it happened. Using the fishing rod it just made, the small creature was able to reach the large glowing star in the middle of the spring. As the star's glow broke the surface of the water, an old gold bracelet took its place. It is believed that circles of mushrooms spring up when Alvar appear to join one another in dance. If an unlucky man or woman should join them in their dance, they would find that time passes faster within the Alv circle, and years may go by while they are engrossed in a few moments of joyful dance.
I wonder why this one is larger than the other one,
the small creature said to itself while pondering the reason for its size. At the edge of the woods there was another circle of mushrooms, seemingly too small to dance in. Some believe that certain Alv circles hold the power to transport Alvar and people alike across vast distances.
I wonder why this one is so small. Could it be that Alvar vary in size?
The creature wondered, while trying to imagine a small gathering inside of the ring. As the small creature put the golden bracelet into the hole, a larger Alvar appeared sitting on the stone. This Alvar was more beautiful than anything the creature could have imagined, with white glowing hair flowing over the rough surface of the stone, and a shining silver crown on her head. The small creature dared not reach out to the Alv Queen in fear of angering her. The small creature's humbled words broke the silence.
Hello? I don't want to disturb you, beautiful queen, But if you would allow me but a few moments of watching your people dance, I would be most content. I don't know where else to go, as I don't know where I belong in this world.
The elf queen remained silent, yet seemingly not displeased by the presence of the small creature. As the dance continued, the creature watched the glowing beings in silence, entranced by their beauty. Suddenly, in a chanting voice soft as a whisper, the elf queen spoke. Her words were not of this world, and even though the creature could not understand them, it felt their power within its small body. As the elf queen started to fade along with her dancing Alvar, the smaller circle of mushrooms began to glow, as if responding to her enchanting voice. As the creature faded from the circle, it felt as if reappearing someplace else, leaving the farmlands far behind. Yet the creature was saddened, for even though the beings inhabiting the farm might not have given it the kindest of welcomes into this world, it had felt like a small part of their existence, recognized as a being, albeit an insignificant one, of its own. Now, as the small creature once more began to explore its unfamiliar surroundings, it felt alone. Below the elf tree there was a stone inscribed with strange runes.
These runes look familiar somehow,
The small creature thought as it moved its hand over the carved surface. The moldy stick had suddenly been set aflame and quickly burned to a crisp. All that remained was a pile of ash and a small piece of the charred stick. The stone was far too heavy for the creature to move. The creature picked up the charred stick. A tree, old and robust, was standing at the edge of the lake. Along the bark there were peculiar rune inscriptions.
I wonder how old I will become before I begin to wither away.
The small creature thought as it marveled at the majestic tree. The lake was still, its dark water silently reflecting the foreboding tree line.
The water looks awfully dark.
The small creature said as it saw the rocks get swallowed up by the water over and over again.
This surely is a beautiful place. But why did the elf queen send me here?
The creature wondered as it looked out across the glimmering lake, doubting that there would be a place for someone such as it along its shores. A frayed fishing net covered in fish remains had been washed ashore. After getting entangled in the fishing net for a while, the small creature finally managed to pick it up. A group of bulrush plants were growing along the shoreline.
I wonder if they could be of any use,
The small creature said as it examined the strange grass. The small creature reached out and grabbed the strange plants. A post with an iron ring mounted on it was sticking up from the ground.
If I was big enough, I could put this on my finger.
The small creature said with a shrewd smile. A glass bottle was floating on the lake, not giving in to the small waves' attempts to bring it to shore.
It looks like there is something inside of it.
The small creature thought to itself as it fixated its eyes on the bottle. The small creature placed the bulrush pods on the stone. As the bulrush began to smolder, a trail of smoke emerged and began its journey towards the sky. As the Alvar started to cough from the thick smoke, a thin trail of alv dust fell from one of them, forming a small pile on the ground. A pile of alv dust had formed on the ground underneath the tree.
It sure does sparkle.
The small creature said as it stood in awe of the beautiful powder. The small creature managed to scoop up the glowing pile of alv dust. A hollow shell was lying on the ground.
It has a hole right through it.
The small creature said, surprised by the strange shape of the shell. The small creature picked up the mysterious shell. The Nattramn is always moving from place to place, searching for something not visible to normal eyes, unable to rest until it has found what it is looking for. Taking the shape of a raven, it can only be seen during these darkest of nights, spreading its black wings across the sky.
Hello!
The small creature said as loud as it could, trying to get the attention of the Nattramn up on the tree branch. Missing its right eye, the Nattramn had to turn its head to see the creature.
Who are you?
The small creature asked politely, even though the Nattramn hadn't responded to its greeting. The Nattramn twitched its head back and forth to be able to study the creature thoroughly. Then it started to speak.
Yes, I can see your past. You are a very helpful creature. Kind, yes. Risen from the grave, familiar, yes. But the future, I cannot see. No. The future lies within the right eye. Yes, the right eye will tell you what is about to come. Once the right eye is back in the void, the future will reveal itself before your very eyes, yes.
The Nattramn called out, clacking with its beak. A hollow ash tree, dead and colorless, was standing near the well.
At least the little ones have somewhere to live,
The small creature said, watching a number of insects skitter across the bark. With just a faint touch, the bark cracked and fell down into the small creature's hand. In the clearing, there was a long-since dried-up well.
It looks depleted. I wonder if there could be something down there.
The small creature said, as it peered down into the emptiness. Brunscuba are guardian deities who reside in deep wells, making sure that the water is clean and drinkable. They also keep an eye out for curious children, chasing them away to prevent them falling down into the wells. A Brunscuba is usually not a particularly evil creature, but if its well gets polluted, the Brunscuba's anger knows no boundaries. As the small creature reached the bottom of the well, it was welcomed by two glaring eyes, staring at it suspiciously.
Hello?
The small creature said, meeting the eyes' glaring gaze. The pair of eyes kept staring at the creature as if they were waiting for something. The creature could feel the eyes burrowing into it like daggers and began to look around the well to avoid the eyes' penetrating gaze.
You have a very nice home down here in the well.
The small creature said in an attempt to get the one on the wall to talk. Without having blinked once, the eyes were still maintaining their intense stare. After a moment of silence, the Brunscuba started to speak.
Well, aren't you going to say anything? You barge into my home, uninvited I might add, and you don't even have the manners to introduce yourself. Who do you think you are?
I did introduce myself.
The small creature mumbled, hurt by the Brunscuba's harsh accusation.
Not a day goes by without someone new falling down into my well. All you do is stare at me. It's rude, that's what it is. You think it's good manners to just come down here and do as you please? Where are the gifts? The knock on the lid and the water? Where is my damn water? I'm not much of a guardian with nothing to guard now, am I?
The broomscooper muttered as he inspected the creature.
Can you hear me?
The small creature asked cautiously.
Bah, this one doesn't even understand it has by far overstayed its welcome.
The broomscooper said to himself with a sigh.
Scram, come back when you got something to say. You're a real eyesore.
I don't think he can hear me very well.
The small creature thought to itself as it glanced at the broomscooper, still maintaining his terrifying gaze while mumbling to himself.
Can you hear me now?
The small creature asked as it placed the shell in the broomscooper's ear.
What?
The broomscooper's fierce stare disappeared abruptly upon the surprising discovery.
I haven't had any visitors speaking to me in a long time. Very well. Good manners is a rare thing these days. I suppose you could have one of the gifts I've been given over the years. Cherish it like I have, and you will surely find it useful one day.
I will. Thank you.
The small creature said with a humble bow. A shovel had been struck into the ground at the bottom of the well.
Looks like someone has been using it for eating.
The creature said, as it flicked off some of the leftovers from the tip. After much effort, the small creature managed to pull the shovel out of the ground. Nattramn is a being that is said to dwell within the deepest lakes and rivers of the land. Lone travelers have been known to hear his ominous song as they take a moment to rest at the water's edge. If they find themselves listening to his enchanting melody for too long, a strange urge to join him in the dark water instills itself in the unlucky traveler. As the creature opened its mouth to introduce itself, Nattramn began to speak. "Why, hello there, little one. Who might you be?" Nattramn said with a charming smile. The creature began, but Nattramn quickly interrupted. "Aren't you a talkative little one?"
But
The small creature tried, but Nattramn interrupted once more. "Is there anything you can do besides staring like an imbecile?" Nattramn continued, now with a snide smirk on his face. "Just stare at me. Stare like those pesky Alvar swirling around in the trees with their magic, flaunting their melodies as if they think them to be better than mine. Preposterous! The lake is my domain, and mine alone. If only I could leave the water, I might be able to get a hold of their secrets," Nattramn muttered as he stroked his chin in thought. "Anyway, my problems with the Alvar are none of your business. Why don't you use your tiny little feet and skip away out of my sight like a little bunny? Hop, hop, Nattramn exclaimed, making a waving gesture towards the small creature. The small creature poured the glowing alv dust into the lake. This feeling, I can feel them, their power coursing through me. Maybe you aren't as useless as I thought. Here's a bottle for your troubles. I'm sure you can use it for whatever it is you do, Nattramn said with a sarcastic look. You may still be able to prove yourself slightly competent. Get me one of their melodies. I want to see for myself just what makes their songs so captivating. Your reward will be greater next time. A row of nettles was blocking the small creature's path.
I hope they aren't poisonous.
The small creature thought to itself as it tried to find a way around the nettles. With the help of the shovel, the small creature managed to remove a large enough section of the nettles for it to pass through. A blackberry bush, rich with berries, was growing at the edge of the glade.
They look really tasty.
The small creature said as its mouth began to water. A branch covered in berries came loose as the creature grasped it with its hand. A beautiful wingless Alvar sat alone on a stone near the lake with her head slumping down.
Hello there. I hope I'm not disturbing you.
The small creature said anxiously as it approached the Alvar on the stone, hoping that she would not turn away at the sight of it. The Alvar slowly looked up at the creature as she wiped away a tear rolling down her chin.
What's the matter?
The small creature asked as it tilted its head in wonder. The Alvar gave the creature a sad look before turning round to expose her wingless back.
I see.
The small creature said.
Please don't cry. Perhaps I can help you. Don't worry.
The Alvar clutched her hands together and looked at the creature with pleading eyes.
I might be in over my head this time. I hope I can keep my promise.
The creature thought as it slowly walked away.
If it's not too much trouble, do you think you could share your beautiful song with me?
The small creature asked nervously. The wingless Alvar's face lit up for a moment, giving the creature a slight nod before writing down the notes on the paper. No, that's not how it happened.
I've never met someone as beautiful as her, but still she appears so sad.
The creature looked down at its tiny hands.
If there is some way for me to make her smile, I want to find it.
Now, this is surprising. I didn't actually think you could obtain something like this, Nattramn said, seemingly impressed by the melody written on the note sheet. Very well. I suppose you have earned somewhat of a reward. Look into the shallow water at your feet. There should be something suitable buried in the sand. As the creature searched the bottom, it found a large mussel. Now I don't have time for you anymore. With this melody and my ability, I'll be able to surpass all others. As Nattramn disappeared into the murky water, a subtle violin could be heard stemming from the depths of the lake. Using the iron ring, the creature was able to break the mussel. As it shattered, a gleaming pearl was revealed. The creature reached down and picked up the exposed pearl.
The void has been closed, and once again the coming times are mine to behold.
The Nattramn croaked as it stared into the distance.
Your future is dark, yes, tumbling down into nothingness. The darkness swallows you whole, yes. There is more. Crumbling, yes. Crumbling, and then a light shining through the darkness. Escape quickly. Escape the darkness, or it will swallow you once again.
The Nattramn went silent as it once again stared into the distance. As the Nattramn finished its foretelling of the small creature's fate, it spread its wings and flew away over the trees, bringing the conversation to an abrupt end. During its departure, the Nattramn had shook off 2 of its black feathers that slowly fell to the ground.
Maybe I can use these to help the sad Alvar,
the creature said, watching the Nattram's silhouette grow smaller and smaller before disappearing amongst the treetops. In its escape, the snail had left a thin trail of mucus on the stones.
I wonder why it was in such a hurry.
The small creature thought as it tried to see where the snail had run off to. Using the sticky mucus, the creature was able to glue together the 2 feathers.
Yes, perhaps Perhaps this will do.
it thought, proud of its creation.
Here you go. Wings.
The small creature said cheerfully and held out its creation. The Alvar gave the two feathers glued together by the snail mucus a doubtful look.
Try them on.
The small creature exclaimed. The Alvar stood up and tried to put the wings on her back, but they just fell to the ground. They were simply too heavy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will bring you something else.
The small creature stuttered, its face turning slightly red. The Alvar let out a disappointed sigh and once more sat down on the stone, resting her head in her tiny hands.
The toadstools are spreading rapidly. If nothing is done, they'll cover both me and my well. Stop them, I beg you.
The broomscooper let out a calm sigh at the sight of the nettles.
That should do the trick, at least for a while.
The broomscooper looked at the creature.
You need to escape this place. You can't stay here. The toadstools will soon engulf this part of the forest. Hurry! Flee while you still can.
As the creature turned around, it noticed the increasing amount of ominous toadstools beginning to move a bit too close for comfort. Heeding the broomscooper's warning, it decided to find a way to leave the lake.
The sad Alvar.
The small creature suddenly remembered.
Without wings, she won't be able to escape by herself.
The cauldron was filled with a boiling brew, shifting between various colors.
It smells funny. I wonder what it tastes like.
The creature thought as it peeked over the edge of the hot cauldron. The creature filled the bottle with a fresh batch of the hag's colourful brew.
Something seems to be missing,
The creature said as it watched the colourless brew. A few squeaking nestlings were spread along the cliff's edge.
What are you so worked up about?
The creature asked the squeaking chick. As the creature fed the warm brew to the squeaking chick, it coughed up a decomposing part of a previous meal. Upon being fed, the chick quietened down, and a content look came over its previously agitated face. Meanwhile, the creature took the opportunity to quickly grab the smelly ingredient off of the ground. The hag was tenderly staring her hot concoction, only stopping briefly to look up at her scrawny younglings. In her hand she held the wingless Alvar, ominously dangling her back and forth beside the large cauldron. The hag prefers to build her nest on top of tall mountains, spreading her vile magic throughout the surrounding areas, infecting plant and creature alike. If you happen to come upon one of her minions, be wary not to get caught, as they will surely bring you before her.
Hello? Would you please put her down? You're hurting her.
The small creature said warily, but got no response. The hag was tenderly staring her hot concoction. The hag As the fire blazed, sparks from the embers landed on the hag's foot, igniting the flammable brew. Aggravated by the burn, she quickly released the wingless Alvar from her clutch, turning her attention towards the small creature.
I'd better hurry,
It exclaimed, feeling the hag's rage building. As soon as the Alvar fell from the hag's grasp, the creature saw its chance, and with the tiny being on its shoulder, tumbled down into the safety of the mountain. As their eyes slowly became accustomed to the darkness, a massive cave opened up before them. The creature beheld it in silence for a while, before remembering its new acquaintance.
Are you all right?
It asked. The Alvar gave the creature a faint smile, removing a couple of pebbles from her fragile hands.
At least she won't be able to get us down here. Why do you think she was so interested in you?
The Alvar tilted her head, apparently as puzzled as the small creature.
Well, no matter now. I guess we need to explore these caves for another exit.
The creature said.
I still have a promise to keep, don't I?
The wingless Alvar looked up at the creature, her glow slightly more vibrant than before. The light from the opening revealed a large cave.
In here we should be safe from her grasp.
The small creature said to its friend, both of them letting out a sigh of relief. The wind had caused a twig to fall onto the cave floor. The small creature picked up the twig, thinking it might be of some use. Varta are nervous beings that hide from others by blending in with their environment. They prefer to make their home below the ground, far away from other creatures.
Brother, I think we've been discovered.
The tall Varta whispered nervously to the short one. Nonsense, the short Varta said with a confident look. Just stick to the plan.
But the beast is not leaving.
The tall Varta whispered, making a befuddled face.
Why is the beast not leaving?
As long as our dear brother returns with something to get our belongings out of the hole, we just stick to the plan, all right? The short Varta whispered, giving his brother a stern look.
Right.
The tall Varta responded loudly, straightening his back in attention. A rather large piece of glass was sticking out of the foot-shaped rock. The creature uttered as it put its own tiny foot against the rock to compare sizes. A large rock shaped like a foot was sticking up from the cave floor. As they walked through the dark tunnels, the creature turned to the Alvar.
I'm sorry you were taken from your home at the lake. I don't know if I could find my way back there.
It said with an apologetic look, but the Alvar didn't seem saddened. In fact, she appeared to glow brighter than before, if only by a little. The moonlight slipped in through a large crack in the wall, illuminating the chamber floor.
I wonder if we will ever make it out of this somber place.
The creature said to the wingless Alvar as they both took a moment to gaze at the starlit sky. A wide chasm had split the chamber floor in two.
We sure are lucky there is a bridge over there.
The small creature said to the Alvar, feeling at ease.
Hey you, sticky fingers, quit skulking in the shadows and move over to the smelter so I can see you. Oh, I see. A couple of new sticky fingers made their way into my mountain.
From atop a chest next to the smelter, a crouching Svartalv was glaring at the small creature and its newfound friend.
I shall make it simple enough for your tiny minds. Since this mine belongs to me now, I've decided not to give you anything at all. So go away. I've got enough sneaky sticky fingers to keep an eye on already.
The small creature looked at its friend before trying to talk to the Svartalv.
I apologize for carelessly wandering into your home, but we would never take something that someone else values so highly.
The Svartalv frowned.
Of course you wouldn't just decide to take a pleasant walk through the deepest parts of my mountain. Just because I've yet to find any treasure doesn't mean it doesn't belong to me.
The Svartalv reached into his pocket before throwing a small rock at the creature.
There, worthless piece of rock that you can have. There are plenty of those for you in these walls, sticky fingers.
A Svartalv is not entirely unlike a dwarf, although more sinister in appearance with crooked backs and skin as grey as ash. They live deep within the mountains, gathering precious metal and gems. A Svartalv is driven by greed and attracted to anything that shines, although the purpose for their obsession is unknown.
Would this allow me to use the smelter?
The small creature asked. The Svartalv bit into the iron coin before putting it into his pocket.
Look at that, sticky fingers. You had something of value after all, and now you don't. Fine, don't pester me anymore. Use the smelter.
In the far corner of the old mine, there stood what seemed to be a cast in the shape of a bell.
The cast is empty.
The creature said after taking a peek inside. Amongst the equipment stood a newly cut wooden pole, which looked to have been used to carry the heavy casts into place. The creature decided to bring the wooden stick with it. On the ground, there were 4 beds, seemingly too short for someone of normal height.
They don't feel very comfortable.
The small creature stated as it walked across one of the beds.
I wonder who's been sleeping here.
Underneath one of the blankets, the small creature found an old stringless bow. In one of the cave walls, there was a pickaxe that looked to have been angrily struck deep into the rock.
Perhaps the owner gave up.
The small creature pondered. The earthquake had rocked the pickaxe loose, allowing the creature to pick it up. The chasm continued through the large opening in the wall. A large boulder had fallen down and blocked the opening behind it.
Do you think we could climb down there?
The creature asked the Alvar, who responded by giving it a disapproving look. An unlit torch was mounted on the wall. Deep within the mountain, far away from any light of day, the Gruff crew lives by herself. Miners have been known to catch a glimpse of her in the corner of their eye, some claiming that she is showing them the location of large ore veins, others that she is trying to get them to follow her into the tunnels. If one is to venture into her domain, be mindful of making noise. If disturbed, she is said to bring the perpetrator to the deepest place within the mountain, where the unlucky being slowly turns into stone.
Noise. always hammering, striking the walls, loud, foul beings. Strike, strike, strike. It is not theirs to take.
The gruff Roo mumbled to herself, seemingly not noticing the small creature next to her.
Unforgivable. Strike, strike, strike. The rock falls. A spell. Hide it. Yes. They won't leave. Why? They can't see where to strike. This won't do. My love.
For a brief moment, the gruff Roo's voice became soft.
Soon he will arrive. No, for him to see me like this, my appearance unsightly, their fault. Strike, 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 then silence. Pristine. I can't wait to leave these caves behind us. They're a bit creepy, aren't they? Do you know of a place on the outside that could help you get your wings to grow?
The creature asked. The Alvar shrugged her shoulders, looking back at it with big eyes.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll find someone that can tell us what to do.
The creature responded in an unsteady voice. The carvings inscribed on the wall formed a number of strange shapes and symbols.
What do you think they mean?
The small creature asked the Alvar as it tried to make out the shapes of the mysterious carvings. Robust roots and vines were blocking the small creature's path.
If only my claws were sharp and pointy,
the creature said, looking down at its dainty little hands.
Who goes there?
The fat Varta wailed as confidently as he could.
Who are you?
I don't know.
The small creature said with a troubled brow.
What do you mean you don't know?
The fat Varta said as his fear turned to curiosity.
I only recently found myself in this world. I don't know where I belong.
The creature stated sadly.
That's odd.
The fat Varta said before turning silent, wondering if that was even possible. After a while, the fat Varta seemed to have regained his focus.
Enough of your petty problems. Mine are far more severe, and they just keep adding up. There I was, playing my flute as I was searching this wretched mountain after something to retrieve my and my brother's belongings with when she came running towards me. My music must not have been to her liking, I suppose.
The fat Varta said, looking puzzled as he scratched his head.
If she sees me again, I don't know what she will do to me.
The fat Varta's eyes slowly filled with fear.
Could you help me sneak past her? You can have my flute, and I'm sure my kin will reward you greatly.
I suppose I could.
The small creature responded, even though it was just as afraid as the fat Varta was. It's all ruined. We can't eat this, the short Varta said, waving his tiny arms in the air.
Brother, the beast has returned.
The tall Varta said, tapping his brother on the shoulder. The plan, the short Varta cried out. A box was bobbing calmly on the surface of the water. The seemingly endless abyss had surprisingly filled up with water.
Brothers,
The fat Varta said happily.
I'm back again. It seems my brothers are disappointed with my efforts.
The fat Varta said with a heavy sigh as he awkwardly took his place beside the tall Varta.
If they are not willing to talk, I guess I will have to find you a reward myself.
The fat Varta muttered as he rummaged around on the floor.
It's not much, but here you go. I'm truly grateful for your help.
The small creature reached down into the box and found an old mushy apple. Hedgehog was peeking out from its den, still squinting after being awoken from its sleep.
Hello?
The small creature said nervously. The hedgehog took no notice of the greeting, but the creature could hear a faint growl coming from its stomach.
I guess it's hungry.
The hedgehog quickly snatched the apple out of the small creature's hands and hurried back to its den. In its retreat, it had brushed off a couple of its spines on the ground.
I suppose I could take these with me.
The small creature said, saddened that the hedgehog didn't seem to want to become its friend. The small creature carefully began to comb the Gruffrew's hair, attempting to calm her down.
He will arrive soon.
Preparations, yes, I will welcome him at last. My appearance, what will he see? The Gruffrew seemed slightly more relaxed, letting go of a pair of clamps that she had been frantically grasping. Gruff had dropped a pair of clamps on the cave floor. As the Gruff didn't seem to want them anymore, the creature decided to bring the clamps with it. Looking into the mirror, the Gruff appeared pleased.
I see. Yes, this will do. My love, he will arrive shortly. Too much time being spent hiding what they sought. Striking, hammering. Why? Unnecessary. They are no longer here.
A large silver vein, previously hidden from greedy eyes, had appeared in the middle of the cave.
How wonderful!
The small creature thought.
How could I not have seen such a beautiful thing earlier?
After the creature had managed to align the correct combination of symbols, it was able to lift the heavy chest lid. Inside, the creature found a sack of fresh food along with an old metal mug.
The beast is back, brother.
The tall Varta whispered cautiously. Remember the plan, the short Varta responded with a clenched jaw.
But it's presenting us with fresh supplies.
The tall Varta mumbled as his mouth began to water. Hush, the beast can do whatever it likes. Be quiet while I try to distract it. The short Varta responded, throwing an old saw blade across the cave. As they turned silent, the small creature carefully picked up the shining object while leaving the supplies beside the stalagmites. A thick root had violently burst through the wall. The small creature used the saw it had assembled to cut through the thick root. The creature quietly watched as the thick sap engulfed the rock, coating it in a golden layer, quickly hardening from the cold of the mountain.
What's that you have there, Sticky Fingers? Wherever did you find this gem?
The Svartal's eyes fixated on the amber.
It's glowing. I need it. Give it to me.
The small creature pondered what to do as the Svartalf continued.
What? Well, how about this? I'll allow you to take a small piece of ore from my silver vein. How does that sound? A small chunk? What do you say?
Before the small creature could answer, the Svartalf quickly put the amber into his pocket.
A trade is a trade. Now leave! I've already said you could have a small piece of my silver ore, if you can get it out of the wall, that is.
The Svartalf grinned as he kept his hands protectively over his pocket. Using the pickaxe, the creature managed to chop off a small chunk of silver ore. The creature put the small chunk of ore into the hot smelter and waited as thick molten silver poured out from underneath it. No, that's not how it happened. The The creature would need something to carry the incredibly hot metal in. The creature carefully filled the dipper to the brim with molten silver. As the creature poured the molten silver into the cast, it cracked, making it possible for the small creature to push it aside. As the cast was removed, a shining silver bell was revealed. The sound of bells, especially ones made out of silver, are said to be horrific to certain evil beings. The molten silver had been molded into the shape of a beautiful bell.
What a wonderful object!
The small creature thought as it tried to make out its reflection in the shining bell. Trying its hardest, the creature managed to pick up the heavy silver bell. Using the saw, the creature managed to create a hole large enough for it to pass through. In the middle of the chamber, there was a large head half buried in the cave floor. Burgrasaur are dangerous, enormous beings long since forgotten by most folk. Long ago, they sought shelter deep within the mountains, remaining in an endless sleep to shut out the sounds of man.
Is it alive?
The small creature whispered, looking anxiously to the Alvar on its shoulder. As the sound of the silver bell resonated throughout the cave, the ground began to quake. The previously lifeless Burgress had awoken from his long slumber, enraged by the noise made by the small creature and its friend. As the mountain continued to shake by the Burgress's movements, a part of the cave wall began to crumble, falling apart before the small creature's eyes. The top of the gravestone was covered in thick moss.
It sort of looks like that stone has a hat.
The small creature said to its companion, uttering a giggling noise. The creature peeled off some of the moist moss. Using the thick roots, the creature was able to traverse the foul water. A number of old gravestones were scattered across the marsh. A larger gravestone, more decorated than the others, was lying on one of the small islands.
How sad. It doesn't look like anyone has tended to it in a long time.
The small creature remarked with a sigh.
I wonder who's down below.
The small creature stated, looking down at the ground. As the creature placed the dried flowers in the vase, it felt a chilling gust of wind moving across its small body. Out of thin air, a transparent entity appeared, floating above the gravestone. A Lichtgruber is a being that can be seen after nightfall. Dwelling in swamps and marshes, they drift through the air, often with a lit lantern in hand, following the wind currents between the trees. Their alluring light is said to mislead travelers off the road and deeper into the marshes, far away from any who would hear their cries for help.
Hello! Hello!
The Lichtgruber shouted as the creature approached him.
Hello there!
The small creature responded, happy to be welcomed for once.
Hello! Where are you? Come back!
The Lichtgruber continued, seemingly not taking notice of the small creature.
I'm down here!
The creature said, feeling slightly confused as it waved its little hand to get the Lichtgruber's attention. The Lichtgruber stopped shouting and looked down at the creature.
They're all gone. All my friends blew away with the wind. Don't they like me anymore? Why would they leave me?
The Lichtgruber sobbed as he covered his face with his shroud.
I didn't mean to scare them. I really didn't. You believe me, don't you?
The Lichtgruber continued as he regained his composure.
Sure I do. Say, what do your friends look like?
The small creature asked.
Maybe we can help you find them. Well, they are small and bright-looking. They live in my lantern, you see. Without them, I would never be able to find my way through these marshlands.
The Lichtgruber said, making a sweeping gesture through the air.
Is that one of my friends you have there on your shoulder? You aren't stealing my friends now, are you?
The Lichtgruber asked with a stern and almost threatening voice.
No, this is my friend. She can't fly, so there's no way she could be one of them.
The small creature exclaimed, protecting the Alvar with its hand.
I see.
The Lichtgruber sighed in disappointment.
Would you at least please take my lantern and keep an eye out for my friends?
5 of them there are. I will remain here in case they should find their way home.
A number of old gravestones. The Vittel slithers through the darkest areas of the land, drawn to places of power where it rests to shed its skin. The skin of a Vittel is rumored to retain a strange kind of magical power, and anyone that manages to get their hands on one should be careful not to look into its entrancing glow for too long.
Hello?
The small creature said cautiously, daunted by the terrifying beast before it. The Vittel quickly jerked its head in the direction of the sound, staring into the small creature's eyes as it slowly waggled its head from side to side in a hypnotic fashion.
What do we have here? You should know better than to approach me, meat.
The Vittel whispered menacingly.
I could swallow you and your friend there in just one bite.
I didn't mean to disturb you. We're just trying to find our way through these lands.
The small creature responded, slowly backing away. The Vittel gave the creature a suspicious look, analyzing it from top to bottom.
You should consider yourselves lucky my hunger for food is quenched. However, my appetite for riddles is insatiable. You're larger than a mouse, but smaller than a bear. Let's see if your mind matches your size. This one I heard told in times long past. I am reborn amongst my siblings. Together we are one. As I rise, I can see all of them look up at me in my newfound form. I travel together with my brothers and sisters as I fall, crashing down with them on the roof of the world. I slowly make my way down as more of my siblings join me. It is close now. I am reborn.
The creature stood silent for a while, deep in thought.
I don't know,
It said with a disheartened look.
Tsk, that one isn't even hard.
The Vittel quickly retorted.
Stop wasting my time and get out of my sight before I grow hungry again.
Believe me, you don't want to be here when I'm hungry. The wet soil had collapsed, dividing the area in two. A Nattramn, with one of its eyes gleaming unusually bright, was sitting on a stone. A door that looked to have been created out of solid rock was sealing off the path into the mountain.
I bet you there could be some sort of treasure in there.
The small creature said, giving its friend a hopeful look. Upon moving through the gate, their eyes still adjusting to the darkness, the pair began to perceive a dim light stemming from the center of the chamber. Lodged in what appeared to be a crudely carved altar was the cup of Sigrin, decorated by etchings telling of acts long forgotten, a golden chalice which corrupts what is poured within it. Yet the pair had no way of knowing this, but simply marveled at its beauty as they remained still for a moment in the cold chamber.
Would it really be all right for us to take something like this?
The creature looked at the Alvar, whose big eyes reflected the cup's glow.
I suppose it's of no use to anyone around here anymore.
It continued, respectfully removing the chalice from the indentation in the altar. Bones in a variety of shapes and sizes were scattered around the cave. Lying around the bones was a long rope, all of which looked to be in one piece. A skeleton, much larger than the small creature, was sitting in a dark corner of the cave.
A grim fate,
the small creature stated with a sorrowful sigh. As the creature touched the skeleton, the skull fell off, exposing a burning airbloss.
That must be one of them,
the creature said to the Alvar, who responded with a nod.
Where do you think the others might be?
The cave walls had been covered with peculiar tablets, depicting various parts of the environment. The creature placed the stone tablet into the opening in the wall. As it was put into the opening, the tablet began to glow.
What do you suppose this means?
The small creature asked the Alvar, as both of them tried to figure out the strange inscription. As soon as the droplet hit the stone, the cave started to shake, and from a crack in the altar emerged a strange and wondrous plant. A strange apparition in the shape of a plant was spreading a calming glow throughout the chamber.
How does a thing like this come to be?
The small creature pondered, scratching its head as it inspected the mysterious plant. The plant reacted as the creature's hand went through the transparent stem, giving off glowing spores in response to its touch. As they filled the air, the Alvar let out a loud sneeze. Robust roots had burst through the rock along the mountainside. The creature tied the rope to one of the thicker roots, pulling hard at it to make sure it wouldn't come loose.
Now, hold on tight, and I'll make sure we get down there safely,
It said as the wingless Alvar nervously grasped its ear. At the bottom of the ravine lay the remains of an old cart, which probably belonged to someone of the creature's size.
If you find anything around this cart, it's yours. Take it. We don't want any beasts to come looking for us. Bye.
The creature read aloud from a group of small scribbles carved on one of the planks. Searching through the shattered planks, the creature found a wooden wedge. Just as it was about to turn away from the wagon, the Alvar tugged on its ear, noticing a faint glimmer beneath its feet.
What beautiful craftsmanship!
The creature exclaimed, brushing aside the tall grass concealing an old necklace. As the starlight made its way down the ravine, something about the necklace seemed strange as the creature studied it. Its shine vaguely different from metals it had previously encountered. A rotten tree, about to collapse at any second, was standing near the edge of the collapsed ground. By using all of its strength, the creature managed to topple the rotten tree, creating a bridge to the other side. As the spores reached the Vittel's nostrils, it couldn't help but to sneeze, and from its mouth a disoriented ear-bloss came drifting out. The Vittel continued sneezing as it slithered away down the ravine, soon disappearing amongst the undergrowth. In its departure, it had left behind a mesmerizing piece of its shed skin. As the creature approached the bison, it opened its eyes, looking around to find the one who had awoken it from its sleep. Bisons are beings that usually remain in deep slumber. In the rare event that they awake, they spend their time tormenting travelers and woodsmen passing them by. Once they grow tired of causing trouble, they resume their sleep, blending in with the surrounding trees once again.
Hello?
The small creature said politely as it moved closer to the bison. The bison gave the creature a look of disgust but did not answer.
Who are you?
The creature asked, feeling slightly discomforted. The bison seemed to have lost interest in the creature and looked away. Feeling a slight tug on its ear, the creature took another look at the bison.
What is that cut on your head? Does it hurt?
It continued, even though the bison hadn't acknowledged its past remarks. The bison's face suddenly filled with anger. Its eyes started to roll in their sockets. Its mouth writhed and twisted with pain.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It must really hurt.
The creature said.
Is there anything I can do to help?
The bison seemed to have calmed down, giving the creature an insensible look before continuing its hysterical tantrum.
We should search for something to heal that grievous wound,
the creature said to the Alvar, who responded with a determined nod. As the creature struggled for a while to fit the wedge into the hole, the bison's eyes and mouth stood wide open. The creature gave the Alvar a confused look, but then something happened. The ground started to crumble violently, and with the sound of roots snapping and twigs cracking, the bison rose from the ground. A loud creaking could be heard as it stretched out its arms before looking down at the small creature with the same insensible look as before. The creature didn't move an inch, and after a while, the bison turned around, marching into the swamp with giant steps, quickly disappearing from sight.
What was all that about?
The small creature asked its friend, as they both stared with big eyes after the bison.
That should be all of them,
the creature stated with a sigh of relief.
Perhaps we'll now be able to leave this place. My dear friends, you're safe with me once more.
The Lichtgruber quickly grabbed the lantern from the small creature's hands.
Oh, thank you for finding them. Is there anything I can do to repay your kindness?
The creature looked at the Alvar on its shoulder.
Well, we have been searching for something that could help her fly,
the small creature responded.
But so far we haven't found anything at all.
The Lichtgruber pondered the creature's words for a moment before answering.
I know of a very old place. However, it's not somewhere I would like to take the two of you.
The Lichtgruber shook his head.
It's a frightening place, you see. No longer what it used to be.
And so the Lichtgruber began to lead the odd pair through the marsh. As they traversed the murky waters, the small creature wondered if it had chosen wisely, not so much worrying about itself, but for its fragile friend. Still, it didn't feel discouraged, but glad, relieved that their strenuous search might soon bear fruit. As the small creature looked around, it could see nothing but tall, dark trees encroaching on the clearing.
Where are we? Is there someone here that might be able to help her?
The Lichtgruber raised his lantern. This place, it wasn't always like this, you know. Over the years, it has been the destination of many ailing beings in need of help. Not anymore. It's been corrupted. We shouldn't have come. The Lichtgruber turned his attention towards the trees. Some of them are still here. The creature felt a nervous tug on its ear as it responded.
If you hadn't helped us, we would never have gotten out of the marsh. I don't think we have any choice but to move forward.
The creature looked at its friend before continuing.
If this place used to be as powerful as you said, there has to be someone still here that can help. I will make sure that no harm comes to her.
The creature tried its hardest to sound sure of itself, and its words seemed to calm the Alvar down, if only a little. Very well. If there is something that would be of help to you in this place, I hope you find it. Good luck to you both, kind friends. I bid you farewell. The Lichtgruber bowed before slowly fading away as he drifted back towards the marsh.
Don't be sad. Remember how far we've come. We'll find someone that can help you. Just you wait,
the creature said, giving the Alvar a gentle pat on her head.
You will finally get your wings.
A strangely familiar totem, decorated with a deer skull, had been placed at the edge of the woods, spreading a pungent stench throughout the clearing.
What an awful smell! What could be the purpose of such a thing?
The small creature said, while looking at the Alvar, who desperately tried to cover her nose. As the creature touched the pungent-smelling horn, it crumbled, turning to dust in its hands. The dark woods, far too dense to travel through, were slowly encroaching on the clearing.
Not even someone as small as you would fit through that thick web of branches,
the small creature said to the Alvar as it peeked into the dark entanglement.
This place has an unsettling feeling to it,
the small creature whispered as they walked through the abandoned encampment.
Why did they leave all of their belongings behind?
Beside one of the tents stood a poultry meat rack, created from 2 carved poles connected by a long string.
They must have really been in a hurry to leave their food behind,
the small creature said to its friend as it gave the meat a poke with its finger. The small creature, picked up the smelly haunch of meat. A ragged piece of cloth held up by a pair of sticks formed what appeared to be a tent.
Looks cozy enough.
The creature said as it inspected the tiny sleeping area. Inside the tent, the creature found a thin, slightly bent metal blade. The fire had long since burned out.
We could sure use a warm fire right now.
The creature said, looking at the shivering Alvar. As the creature rustled around in the ashes beneath the coals, it found a sooty horseshoe forged from steel. One of the tents had at some point collapsed and was laying in the wet grass at the edge of the campsite. The creature picked up the cloth canvas, along with the partially corroded iron post. An ancient tree was standing by itself at the far edge of the encampment. Throughout the land you might sometimes hear rumors of injured woodsmen sheltering themselves beneath an unusually large tree with strange characteristics. As they rest amongst its roots, they claim that the wounds fade away as if they had never been caused. Learning that one may be cured from any ailment by crawling through the tree's roots, many travel from afar to seek relief, but the woodsmen who claim to have found it never seem to recall its exact location within the woods.
Hello? Would you mind talking to us for a short while?
The ancient tree barely seemed coherent, the lucidity in his eyes fading between each word.
So tired, must not fall asleep. Help!
What should we do? He seems really scared.
The small creature looked at the Alvar.
We need to help wake him up.
As the creature blew the smelling salt onto the ancient tree, he quickly recovered from his drowsiness.
Thank you,
He exclaimed in a drawn-out fashion, both eyes wide open.
thank you both. I almost fell asleep, you know, just like my brothers. You mustn't.
The ancient tree's voice turned mellow as he looked out across the campsite.
None of them wanted to talk to me, so I simply remained silent. Suddenly, it almost took me, the glow. Almost, but you made sure it didn't. That would have been bad, very bad indeed.
The ancient tree sighed.
I wish I could repay you, but unless you're in need of herbal knowledge, I'm afraid I can't offer you much in return. If you should happen to find any herbs you would like me to process, I'd be happy to help.
He said before munching enthusiastically.
Although I would need to rinse this horrible taste from my mouth before I could create a proper mixture. If you're in need of my help, could I first trouble you to find me something scrumptious that will restore my taste buds? Delicious.
the ancient tree exclaimed as he bit into the ripe blackberries.
It's been a long time since I tasted something like this. Good things don't like to grow here anymore, you see. Some beings infect everything they touch.
He muttered.
But no matter, when you need my assistance, come see me again. I should be able to create a proper mixture for you, provided you can find good ingredients in this place.
A statue depicting an ominous creature was standing near the tree line. A shadowy figure had begun to follow the pair as they traversed the narrow trail, yet for the moment keeping its distance from the small creature.
Why is it following us?
The creature whispered, while the Alvar kept her eyes peeled on the dark shape remaining at their backs. A statue depicting an ominous creature was standing near the tree line. Despite the weather, the large anthill was bustling with activity. The ants didn't seem to mind the creature picking up a handful of the leftover straws.
What do you suppose that thing is over there? Do you see it?
The creature asked the Alvar, who was leaning forward in an attempt to spot the small object. A totem, crudely decorated with bone carvings and various symbols, had been struck into the ground, steadied by a pile of rubble. As they approached it, the Alvar's eyes fixed on a particular part of the totem.
Do you like this one?
The creature asked, removing the blunt piece of flint from the totem. The creature quickly took a step back, surprised by the mangy arm that had suddenly appeared from below the cliff. A Draug was once a man who, after passing from this world, turned into a being consumed by its hunger for all that it once had. Approaching its perceived property carries with it great risks, as stories tell of Drauga whose grotesque appearance leaves the victim's mind in disarray, causing them to wander the woods aimlessly as they slowly transform into Drauga themselves.
Hello? Are you down there? Could you perhaps let us look at the flower on the ground? It might be something very helpful to us.
The creature tried, but the arm remained. An iron chain had been fastened to a pole at the edge of the woods, dwindling down into the darkness below the cliff's edge.
The post must be buried very deep in the ground to be able to hold something like that.
The creature thought to itself as it glanced down the cliff. No, that's not how it happened. No. No, that's not how it happened. No. As the drow fled into the woods below, the creature was able to move a bit closer to the cliff's edge. In its escape, a ring had fallen from the drow's finger, now glimmering in the darkness. The creature held it in its palm while they observed it. It almost appeared as if it had somehow been affected by the power of the sky's lightning, the gem decorating it clearly reflecting the star's light, almost amplifying their glow. With the recent departure of the drow, the white plant was lying exposed on the ground. The creature marveled at the beautiful plant as it slowly extended its tiny hand to pick it up. A gleaming blade had been left stuck in the ground, not far from the edge of the cliff. The creature didn't have any trouble pulling the thin blade from the moist soil. A mysterious plant had come into bloom and was now spreading its spores throughout the forest.
So this is what they will look like when they grow up.
The small creature said to the Alvar as it pointed at the smaller plants surrounding the larger one. quick snip of the scissors, the large plant fell down in the creature's hand. As it looked down at the plant, the once strong glow emanating from it was beginning to fade away.
How about these?
The creature asked as it presented the herbs to the tree.
Perfect. These would mix well. One moment, my friends.
The ancient tree cleared his throat before continuing to chew both plants into a thick salve. After chewing for a good while, he continued.
There you are. I hope this will aid you in some way. Be careful with it though. This turned out to be a very potent mixture.
Loathsome, vile and repugnant, is a large sow that dwells in the depths of the forest, her battened body covered in razor-sharp thorns. She may appear either as an omen in places about to be visited by great misfortune, or to prey on travelers walking along the forest's edge. As she runs towards her victim, the thorns on her back are said to grow larger, cutting the unlucky traveler in half as she sprints in between their legs. After she has satisfied her gluttonous urges, she returns to guard her home in the darkest part of the woods.
Hello? We don't mean you any harm. Can you help us?
Gloson's red eye followed the creature's movements, her mouth watering in response to the feast presenting itself before her.
Never mind. We will get by somehow.
The creature stuttered as it quickly backed away from the huge beast.
Here you are. It looks very tasty, doesn't it?
The creature presented the haunch of meat before Gloson's frightening jaws. The gluttonous sow quickly sunk her teeth into the smelly flesh, instantly devouring sinew and bone alike. Not satisfied by the meal, she once more turned her attention towards the small creature fidgeting before her.
Good, wasn't it?
The small creature tried as her jaws opened. Then her expression changed, the hungry mouth turning into a wide yawn as she proceeded to rest her head against the moss-covered stone. As she fell into a deep slumber, the thorns emanating from her body retracted from the clearing. The creature smiled, its hands still trembling.
We're getting close. I can feel it.
As the pair arrived at the deepest part of the forest, an unnerving silence instilled itself in the clearing. Unbeknownst to them, they had arrived at the Copper Gate, a lost doorway to the oldest of mountains, rumored to contain treasures long since hidden from the eyes of men. As they stood there, the faint wind carried with it soft-spoken whispers in a strange tongue throughout the woods, spreading a sense of unease to plant and animal alike.
I'm sure what we need is somewhere around here. This place used to be filled with great power, remember?
The creature said in an attempt to cheer her up. The Alvar smiled half-heartedly for a moment before returning to rest behind the creature's ear. A chisel had been left firmly stuck in the soil. The creature reached out with its dainty little hand and pulled out the chisel, almost falling over as it stumbled backwards to regain its balance from the effort. A couple of branches had fallen down from one of the spruce trees surrounding the clearing. The creature reached down and picked up the two branches. As the rain had stopped, the receding water had revealed an old urn at the bottom of the hole. The creature lifted the wet urn out of the muddy soil. No, that's not how it happened. Striking the piece of flint against the horseshoe caused tiny sparks to scatter onto the tinder. As it began to smolder, the creature carefully placed it in the fireplace, igniting the branches. As the creature held the chisel amongst the coals, the heat caused it to glow red, retaining the intensity of the fire for a short moment before beginning to lose its warmth. As the creature held the heated chisel against the base of the chain, the iron slowly began to glow red, allowing it to break the link holding the chain in place. As the pair silently beheld the totem, a warm energy began to spread from the boulders surrounding it. The radiant light quickly engulfed the clearing, amplified by the Vittel's magical skin. The shadowy figure appeared entranced by the glowing totem, not reacting to the pair's presence any longer. As the shadowy being didn't seem to mind, the creature and Alvar decided to borrow the pages and stone fragment hanging from its waist, hoping to find some sort of clue regarding the strange place they currently found themselves in. However, as they had a closer look, neither of them were able to make out the words scribbled on the torn pages. After placing the stone fragment, the creature quickly backed away in response to a loud crackling noise emanating from the statue, lasting but a moment before leaving room for the silence to reinstill itself in the clearing. A crudely put-together lever of wood and bone was standing near the mountain wall. The creature pulled on the lever with all of its strength, but only the creaking noise of wood grating against wood could be heard.
This should get things moving,
the creature said to the Alvar as she emptied the contents of the urn onto the lowest parts of the lever. As the odd pair had moved further into the darkness beyond the copper gate, before the small creature's eyes had adjusted to the shadows, the Alvar had suddenly been grabbed from its shoulder. A gigantic shape had picked up the helpless Alvar and placed her inside a glass sphere strung up from the ceiling. 3 beings slowly emerged from the darkness, who didn't seem at all interested in the small creature standing before them, and appeared to be squabbling with one another.
Look at it! Look at it!
The fat-nosed troll chanted, enthusiastically pointing at the Alvar with one of his chubby fingers.
It looks so yummy. Let me chew it a bit and I'll let you two know what it tastes like.
The fat-nosed troll made a guttural sound, spouting and drooling saliva as he mustered all his strength in an effort to grab the Alvar. But the slim-nosed troll quickly gripped the glass sphere with his long, nimble fingers, keeping it out of the fat-nosed troll's reach.
The shiny one is doing fine right here in my ball. I found it. It's mine. Swallowing my shinies will be the last thing you do before I got you like a little fishy.
Quiet! Bugger Kangan bellowed, immediately bringing the argument to a halt.
I'm thinking.
He then continued, letting out a troubled sigh. Irritated by being interrupted, the slim-nosed troll quickly retorted.
Thinking? That's all you do. We have been sitting here for so long. I don't even know why we came to this place. I say we leave and take the shinies with us.
Burger Kungan slowly turned his head towards the slim-nosed troll, giving him a dreadful glare. The slim-nosed troll responded, with his nose pointing upward.
Do what you want then. Search some more. Go ahead. You'll never find it here. Whatever it is you're looking for. I, however, have that which I desire right here.
He carried on as he gave the glass sphere a mischievous poke, making the Alvar tumble around inside.
You dummy! Of course you'd go and break it!
The fat-nosed troll exclaimed.
Don't raise your voice to me, you moronic glutton! I found it! I'll break it if I want to!
The slim-nosed troll grunted. Enough! Burger Kungan roared.
What's done is done. We all get one piece each of this trivial ball. End of discussion. There are more important things to attend to. I should have thought twice before bringing you two along on this expedition.
The slim-nosed troll mumbled something inaudible in response, bringing the conflict to an end. Trolls are hideous beings, frequently described as doers of evil and wicked deeds. Terrified only by the sun's rays and the clap of thunder, they seldom leave the darkness of their caves, but once in a while emerging to roam the night in small packs, traveling between villages, snatching newborns out of their cribs before replacing them with their own offspring. Although socially organized, their minds are often blunt, some telling stories of quick-witted travelers narrowly escaping their grasp. The small creature gathered its courage and approached the slim-nosed troll.
Hello?
It said with uncertainty in its voice. This time noticing the creature, the troll quickly grasped his dagger.
What is this? A filthy little ball of hair straddling towards me. Coming for my shinies, you filthy burglar. Keep your distance, or you'll regret it.
The troll licked the blade's edge with a devious smirk on his face. The small creature stood, frozen in fear, not able to utter a single word in response. Realizing it posed little threat, the troll settled down and turned to his riches as he started to mumble to himself.
Filth, trying to steal my shinies. Too many to hide from prying eyes. Need something smaller, something pleasant to my eyes. Something shiny, yes.
Seeing the small creature approach from the corner of his eye, the slim-nosed troll quickly turned and snatched the pendant out of its hand.
Ah, I finally found it. I knew a special kind of shiny was round here somewhere.
The troll admired the pendant as he twisted and turned it in his hands before addressing the small creature reaching for it.
Now let's trade, shall we? I get one thing from you, you get one thing from me.
The troll took out his dagger, pressing it hard between his hand, causing it to bend into a crescent shape before handing it over to the creature. Without another word, the slim-nosed troll turned away, holding his new prized possession in front of his face, occasionally laughing with glee as he stared into the reflective surface of the pendant. Burger Kungan gave it a stern look as the quivering creature approached him.
What a surprise! A strange little newborn has wandered into our mountain all by itself.
Why have you come here, little creature? Burger Kungan asked, while curiously inspecting the tiny being standing before him.
To help my friend. We have been told this place can give her wings. They are missing, you see.
The creature said with determination, gathering all its bravery to not appear weak. Was that the shiny little thing that fell down into the hole over there? If that's the case, I'm afraid you will never see her again. Burger Kungan chuckled, but quickly returned to his stern voice.
You said you had heard about this place. Tell me what you know.
The creature dared not refuse Burger Kungan's request.
Well, that it once held some sort of ancient power.
The small creature explained in a slow, tentative manner. Burger Kungan sighed in boredom.
Bah! I thought you might be useful, but I suppose it's up to me to figure out the secrets of this place after all. I can't trust these two cretins, and you are no better. Waddle home to where you came from. You will find nothing here, and even if you had, it wouldn't have helped your friend to, what was it? Grow wings? Such stupidity!
Burger Kungan, irritated by the small creature's lack of knowledge, lost interest and returned to examining the cavern. The small creature held out the ancient writings in its hand, awaiting Burger Kungan's reaction.
Have you found something of use to me, little creature?
He mumbled as he began to rifle through the worn pages. Having been consumed by their contents for quite a while, he suddenly paused, cleared his throat, and read out loud.
Ek Vok Hoga.
As soon as the echo of his words rung out, 2 large stone plates had moved apart, revealing a large opening in the middle of the cavern. Ah, you have done well, little creature. This might be the place I seek after all. Go down there and tell me what you see. Burger Kungan commanded the small creature, who saw its chance to reunite with its friend. The fat-nosed troll had spat a gruesome mass onto the cave floor.
How disgusting.
The small creature thought to itself as it watched the mucus slowly dissolve. The small creature bent down and scooped up some of the spit into the cup of Sigrin. Suddenly, the mucus had turned green, and instead of water now flowed a putrid, endless stream of poison liquid. A piece of supple leather was lying across a crack in the floor. Out of curiosity, the creature picked up the strap to have a look at it. Recognizing the fine condition of the leather, it decided to keep it.
Hello? Are you okay down there? I'll figure out a way to help you out. Don't worry.
The small creature reassured the Alvar as it started to explore the new-found cave. A precious gemstone rested safely inside a cavity in the wall. Luckily for the creature, the dagger had been bent at an angle to slide perfectly into the cavity behind the gemstone. With some endeavor, the gemstone came loose, at the same time causing the dagger to return to its original shape. A precious gemstone rested safely inside a cavity in the wall. Using the old canvas, the creature was able to pick up the hot gemstone. A large, glowing eye had revealed itself upon the removal of the gemstone, observing the creature in silence as it moved about the cave.
I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't me who woke you up.
The small creature said, holding its hands in front of its face, struggling to look at the bright eye. A lone stalagmite was standing in the cave. As soon as the eye's radiant gaze met the ring, an intense beam of light shot out of the ring's jewel, disappearing into the ceiling. Suddenly, a shriek of agony could be heard from the cavern up above.
My eyes, it burns. How is the wheel of heaven's wrath reaching us here?
The slim-nosed troll shrieked, desperately trying to cover his eyes from the ray of light pointed at his face. The slim-nosed troll had placed his part of the sphere among his other belongings on the floor. With the troll distracted, the small creature was able to sneak closer and nab the glass shard.
Who goes there?
The slim-nosed troll cried out as he tried to make out who was approaching him through his fingers.
If even a single shiny is missing, I will find you and turn your skin inside out, you filthy thieves.
Along the chamber walls were mounds of shining gold, with shapes ranging from tiny coins to elaborate statuettes, all floating together into a big shining mass. A long, hairy tail was sticking out from behind Burger Kungan's massive body.
I should be wary where I place my feet.
The small creature thought as it gently inched its way around the tail. The small creature took the ball of hair sitting at the end of Burger Kungan's tail in one hand and the sharp dagger in the other as it carefully began to cut a few strands at a time until the tuft of hair came off. Inside the cave wall, packed between dirt and rock, rested the remains of an ancient creature.
This doesn't look like anything I've met before.
The creature muttered to itself as it tried to imagine what the creature had looked like if it had still been alive. By carefully dusting around the fossil, the outermost layer of dirt around it came loose and accumulated in the creature's extended hand, revealing a set of bones sticking out from the cave wall. With the fossil uncovered and intact, the creature could easily pluck a couple of particularly pointy bones from it. A stone casket, crushed by the weight of the trolls, was barely peeking out beneath the rocks and rubble.
A keyhole means there must be a key nearby somewhere.
The creature reasoned with itself as it started to lift up surrounding rocks in search of it. The creature reached inside the casket and pulled out a dusty old tome, bereaved of one of its pages. Venomous, wild mushrooms were spreading aggressively throughout the cave. Pouring the putrid contents of the chalice onto the mushrooms caused them to pulsate, letting off a cloud of spores before returning to their slumber. As the creature emerged from the hole, it spotted the slim-nosed troll throwing the pendant on the ground, shattering it.
Filthy craftsmen who can't even separate fool's gold from the real thing. If I find them, I shall give them a quick departure from their pathetic existence.
Muttering and cursing, he turned back to rummage around in his treasure pile.
It's cursed! It's cursed!
The fat-nosed troll chanted.
The hunger, the itching, only bad luck comes my way. Ever since I got this piece of glass, I can find nothing to eat in this damnable place, and now my whole body burns. No more! Be gone with you, foul thing!
He screamed as he hurled his piece of the glass sphere onto the floor, quickly picked up by the small creature.
Are you all right?
The small creature exclaimed as the Alvar emerged from the hole. She responded with a quick nod as she slowly stumbled over to rest on a nearby stone.
Don't you worry. You stay there and regain your strength.
Out of the darkness, a crackling and glowing stone emerged, lighting up the cave with its overwhelming energy as it levitated calmly above the altar. In the center of the chamber, floating above an altar covered in rune carvings, was an askstone. Formed as lightning strikes the earth, an askstone is said to be infused with the power of its creator, rumored to have been used in ancient times to ward off the sky's thunder, as well as beckoning its rumbling.
This looks powerful and dangerous.
The small creature thought, as it stood in awe of the great energy being discharged from the stone. As the creature got closer, sparks and cracks of lightning began to emanate from the askstone. Noticing this, the small creature backed away in reverence.
No, that's not how it happened.
The creature once more presented an offering before Burgerkongen. The tome immediately caught his eye. I recognize the runes on this book. It will surely unveil the true secrets of this place. Hand it over. The creature followed his command and gave Burgerkongen the old tome. It appears what I seek is indeed down in that hole. Bring it to me. There should be a way. Take this glass shard. It might be a key part in this. Make haste, little creature. My patience is growing thin. In the center of the chamber, floating above,
I don't know if I've made the right decision, but I feel this is our last chance to get you wings. Let's head up, shall we?
the small creature said to the Alvar, who with a hearty nod once more crawled up behind its ear. At last, after all this time, it's within my reach, Burgerkongen proclaimed, looking at the askstone with hungry eyes.
This is what we have been looking for? A stone? A piece of worthless rock?
The slim-nosed troll spouted in anger, yet his words got drowned out by the fat-nosed troll's deep voice.
It must be a special rock, right? What does it do?
Burgerkongen began to explain in a calm, almost threatening voice.
This, my brother, will keep us safe as the wheel in the heavens passes above our heads. It beckons and bends the mind of the dark clouds and the hammering they bring with them.
He turned his attention to the small creature.
Come now, little creature. Hand it over to me.
Burgerkongen commanded the small creature, seemingly hesitant to touch the crackling askstone directly himself. The small creature looked at the Alvar and then back at Burgerkongen.
No, I will not.
Did you not hear me, little imp? I said, bring it to me! Burgerkongen roared, furious by the creature's refusal.
No! No, you don't deserve to have it.
The creature yelled without a shred of hesitation. You dare defy me? I will crush you. I will crush you beneath my feet, and I will take the stone myself. Dirt under my feet is what you are, after all. Enraged, Burger Kungan began to twist and turn to free himself from the mountain's firm grasp. In his struggle, the cavern began to crumble, light breaking through the cracks forming in the ceiling. No, not again. The light. Stop moving! The slim-nosed troll exclaimed in panic, yet his words did not reach the Troll King. The creature and Alvar paused for a moment to watch as the sunlight turned the trolls into stone before making their way out of the chamber. Passing through the crumbling copper gate, the creature glanced over its shoulder, only to see a cold mountain wall, untouched by being and man alike, casting a calming shadow over the clearing. The weary pair, staggering along the forest path, slowly made their way through the thick brush. As it happened, ending upon a path different than the one that led them there. As they felt the rise of the ground, the dark trees grew less imposing, allowing a wonderful view to greet their arrival at the top of the hill.
How beautiful.
The small creature gasped.
I think I'd like to remain here for a while if you wouldn't mind.
The Alvar marveled at the sky as the creature carefully put her down on a slab beside it.
I'm sorry for not being able to help you. I know I promised.
The creature said with sad eyes kept at the muddy ground beneath its feet.
That place wasn't at all what I'd hoped it to be.
After remaining silent for a while, the creature nervously brought its eyes from the ground, greeted by the Alvar's beaming smile. For although she could not speak nor fly, her glow appeared brighter than before. As they sat there looking out across the woods, the creature felt at ease, and embraced by the sun's rays breaking through the treetops, it slowly faded as night made way for dawn. The Alvar remained, humming a sad melody while looking at the stone now sitting beside her. The song filled the clearing, and as she took the last note, a glowing pair of beautiful wings had appeared on her back. Looking at the stone one last time, eyes filled with gratitude, she then rose from the ground, disappearing amongst the trees' canopies. And that, my friend, is where this story ends. Make of it what you will this darkest of nights, be it truth or myth. I have but shared with you what was long ago told to me in the glow of a fire such as this one. I only hope that you'll take care where you trod this night, for, as the story goes, it turns out even a small, in the scope of the world, insignificant creature can be of significance to someone not that significant themselves.